I am Dr. Pernessa Seele, and today I am the founder and the president of the Lincolnville Preservation and Historical Society. I am also the founder and the CEO of the Balm in Gilead. The Lincolnville Preservation Historical Society is a nonprofit organization that is focused on the historical preservation of this town in South Carolina, one of the oldest African American towns in the state, founded in 1867 and incorporated in 1889. We have historical structures that are over 100 years old that are still in place. It's a magnificent, magical place in South Carolina. When we look at the town of Lincolnville, Lincolnville is really a town planted by a church. Richard Harvey Kane became very political. He became very active. He was one of the founders of the South Carolina Land Commission after the Civil War. We have now deeds of him actually in Lincolnville, and at the time in 1865, that area was known as the village of Pine Ridge. We now have deeds where he was buying property in 1865. Meanwhile, the Civil War was raging in Charleston. So that's a very interesting, this black man is buying land 20 miles from Charleston in 1865. We find that the first mayor, Reverend Nichols, who was also a pastor of Emmanuel Church, was one of the co-founders, and he was the first mayor of Lincolnville. Reverend Nichols is responsible for the epithet of the Emmanuel building that we know today, that Gothic cathedral that we know. He is responsible of building that. So we have the first mayor, who was also a founder, came out of Emmanuel Church. And then we have Bishop Salters. Bishop Salters was also, I think he was the fourth pastor out of Emmanuel. And these people were not bishops at the time, but Reverend Kane was the founder, and he had 6 other co-founders. And it seems to me, as we uncover, that they were really committed to creating this space of safety and longevity, and they had a sense of place, but they also had a political sense of, the vision, because unlike all the many black settlements in the Low Country, Reverend Kane and his people, they actually incorporated. So Lincolnville is a self-governance town since 1889. How about that? And we've been self-governing for now 157 years. And that in itself is extraordinary, if you will. My great-grandmother, Miss Martha Brown Seele, was enslaved on James Island. And her and some other families, my great-grandfather and her, migrated to Lincolnville, which means that Lincolnville is a descendant of the Gullah Geechee corridor. And today, the magic of Lincolnville is that we have 3 historical churches that are still in use. It's over 100 years old. We have 3 historical cemeteries, over 100 years old. We have a historical jail, was a 1-room jail, and that's over 100 years old. And so we have all of these structures that you could actually go and visit. So telling the stories of these structures and these people, that's our mission, because to have an incorporated black town, 157 years later, we want to make sure that this town is still this historical fabric of American history. We're not just talking about black history, we're talking about American history. The National Park Service, the town of Lincolnville, is now a part of the Reconstruction Era Network through the Department of Interior. And we are working to get many of these structures on not only a South Carolina historical marker, but also on the National Landmark marker. So Lincolnville is just an extraordinary place. It's just absolutely magical, and I'm happy to say that I was born and raised in Lincolnville. And I'm just so happy and blessed and grateful that I can return and bring all of, what I learned all these 50 years of just running the world back to Lincolnville to lead the preservation and historical efforts there.